Welcome to another episode of Field Phone Ops. Today we're going to look at replacing or repairing a handset on a FT-602 field phone that I have, and well, let's get to it. Okay, this is the FT-602 phone I have. I actually have two of these, and you can see the handset cord just literally self-destructed. It was pretty interesting. You can see when I first got the phone, it wasn't this bad. Most of it was on there, and it started cracking down here at the we're connected to the phone. You can see I put some electrical tape on there, and that didn't even slow down. It literally just every time you used it, it broke off more, and it still worked. It's just I started getting some questions asked about it when I set my displays up. So I said, you know, there's got to be a way I can fix this darn thing. So that's led to what the process we're going to look at here. This is basically the tools and materials you're going to need. A replacement retractable handset cord. You need 6 conductors inside the cord, and you need 22 or 24 gauge wire, or maybe even 26. I actually found a supplier online that had a bunch of these short cords. I can send you the data. They worked perfect. 6 sub-miniature decrimp and insert male pins. Those are what I use to insert in the handset. We'll get to that in a little bit. I'll show you what I'm talking about. You have to have a special crimping tool to crimp those kind of pins. Soldering iron and solder, because you have to desolder the connector that plugs into the phone itself. Small wire cutter, self-explanatory, wire stripper, small screwdriver to pop the covers apart. I actually have a set of hemostats that I use for working on stuff like this, and I have one that's got a slight bend at the tip, and it worked really good for when it's time to insert pins back into the handset. X-Acto knife, of course, some Dowsil 732 RTV sealant. I'll show you where that goes, and I have a small hobby or electronics device that works really awesome for when you have to solder connectors like this. So let's go on. Okay, this is the cable that I actually found online. This was I think a guy had a bunch of these left over from some project somebody did that he bought as, job or stuff. Excuse me. And I purchased it from him. The only thing I didn't like about this is I wish that the end of it, a lot of the cords you can order, this comes straight out instead of curving like this, because it fits into the phone handset and the connector better. But I made it work anyway. And these are some of the insert crimp pins I used to finish the cable up. Here's the crimper. I have a crimper like this that's used for doing these kind of crimp pins like this. We used male ones on this project, but basically these allow you to insert the wire into this spot right here, and it allows you to crimp these clamps around a while and set them real tight. I also use some pins like this that are called socket or barrel crimp pins, and they use a different tool, and these actually I like better. We use these type when I was in the military, because when you put it inside the crimper, it crimps like 4 sides at the same time, so it really grabs the wire good, get good contact. Hemostats, like I said, I have a set. The ones I used for this that worked really good were the ones that were curved at the end. You'll see why when we get to that part. Hobby vise, self-explanatory. I actually have each one of these. These are awesome. If you don't have one, I'm sure a lot of you work on field phones do, but they're awesome for holding in and out of those connectors you have to solder. And here we go. Here's the handset I took, and the first thing I did was I cut the cord off. And the other interesting thing about these handsets is they used to have a rubber cover over the earpiece, and the same are over the microphone element. Well, that rotted and cracked off, so this is what you're ended up with. What I discovered is you can pop this little panel off right here, and it gives you access to where all the handset wires go. So basically the handset came in here like this, insulated, and it was broken out into the different individual wires here, and each of the wires had a little pin on them, and they pushed into each one of these square sockets. These little square sockets have little jaws in them that capture it and hold it in place. So that's where I use those crimp pins that I showed you before. Go to the next one. Here they are right here. One of the issues I had, we'll go to the next page, is this is comparing the two, is this is the original one. Notice that this one is twice as long as this is. And my concern was once they crimped those on and tried to push them into those little sockets on the handset, that it'd be too long and the cover wouldn't fit. So we did a fit test. Here we go. And I put all the pins in where I was going to put them and closed the cover. We had no problem. Everything worked the way it was supposed to, and gave us the ability to go ahead and fix this handset cord. This is the part or the connector that goes onto the phone itself. This is actually out of order. This actually goes in between these two, which sandwich it together, and then these screws seal it. This is a plastic connector versus the metal one. A lot of times you see on handsets, so be careful. I have a crack in mine. I'm going to wait and see what happens. If I have to, I think I'll pull it apart and super glue it to keep the crack from getting worse. And here we go. Here we go. This is inside the hobby vise. I've replaced pulled, desoldered the old wires, and I followed the handset cable I bought had the same color wires in it, so I just followed the wiring code. And here we go. Now we do the handset part. So I actually threaded the handset cord after I'd stripped it, and it's easier to push the handset cord through and then put your crimp pins on than it is to put the crimp pins on and force it through, because you usually end up breaking one off. I packed some more foam back inside here to help to deaden the microphone so there's not a cavity in there. And I pushed each one into its particular socket. I had to replace this one. After I got it all put back together, it wouldn't work. I looked at it, and I'd actually crimped it too tight and it broke the wire off. So recrimped it, and we had a usable handset that worked. Then I took and the original handset cord had an actual form-fitting plug or string relief that actually fit inside here tight. That was like for waterproofing and also to hold the connector, the handset cord in, the same on the handset. I didn't have that. It was broken, of course. So I used some black RTV. This looks a little gooey right here, but it actually came out pretty good. And here's the actual finished phone right here. I think it looks good and it works well. We'll see how it holds up. I've got another one I'm going to do. I have to order another one of these cords, and we'll go ahead and we'll have two of them usable. If anybody has any questions on this, sources I got stuff or parts or anything about it, go ahead and hit me up on my email. Thanks for watching.